Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" It shouldn't be astonishing that the God of the universe can walk on water. What is astonishing is that by faith, we can. And tell a mountain to be uprooted, and tell a tree is not allowed to produce fruit anymore. I personally can't think of a reason for me to need to do those things, but I don't think that was Jesus' point. Faith, which is trust in God, should be strong enough to pull on the power of God to do impossible things, like defy the law of physics. When I trust in God, I can have a baby at 90 and tell dead people to wake up. That's what our Bible tells us. So I look at the story of Jesus walking on water with Peter and I go, that darn Peter, how dare he not have enough faith? But Peter walked on the water. He had enough faith to see Jesus and go, I trust him enough that if he says I can step out of this boat and walk on this water too. That's astonishing. That is faith. No one else on that boat was like, yeah, me too, Jesus, let me come. They were looking at Peter like, he has lost it. Dead man walking on the water. But that's often what faith looks like. Crazy. To be honest, stepping out of the boat was the hardest part. We can confidently say Peter had never walked on water before. We also know that the conditions were not ideal for walking on water. Matthew 14 gives us these details. It was the fourth watch of the night, so between 3 a.m. and 6 p.m., which is dark. And the wind was kicking up so hard, the waves were keeping them from making headway toward the land. The disciples are likely exhausted from rowing so hard and absolutely drenched by the waves. And here comes Peter. I feel like I could get out there and step on the waves too. I mean, doesn't that sound like crazy faith to you? Yet minutes later, Jesus is recorded as saying, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" You could cut this tension in the passage with a knife. With 20/20 vision, Peter falling in the water doesn't make sense. The conditions of his environment hadn't changed from the moment he asked Jesus to let him come out there until the moment he started to sink. It was still dark. It was still windy. The waves were still crashing around him violently. The only thing that had changed was that he was no longer in the boat. He had the faith to leave the boat, but not enough faith to make it to Jesus. His faith seemed big because of the gesture, but it wasn't big enough to take him all the way. And so Jesus calls his faith little. It's there, but it's little. I was believing God for a new car for a while. I didn't want to have a car payment because I was unemployed, but I needed a car. So I wanted to use whatever cash I had to purchase whatever I could afford. So I went to God and I asked him, help me find the right car. And I even went as far as to tell him the one I'd prefer, the Kia Soul, the one I've wanted for over 10 years, but could never afford. I knew it was a big ask, but I asked anyway. Through favor with God and man, God gave me the exact car I wanted in the budget that I had. It was miraculous. And you know what my first thought was after that miraculous thing happened? I still don't have a job. How am I going to fill up my gas tank? We've got faith, but it is small. It's not enough to sustain us so we can get to the finish line. We have enough faith to receive salvation, but not enough faith to keep obeying His word. We have enough faith to start a new business, but not enough to keep building it after a year. We have enough faith to get married, not enough to stay married. We have enough faith to go back to school, not enough faith to believe we're going to pass that class we need to graduate. We're like Peter, tough enough to get out the boat, but at some point we look at Jesus and we tell him, I'm going to drown. But here's a beautiful thing we can't miss about this image. Though he started to sink, that little faith he'd had put him closer to Jesus. He was just close enough for Jesus to catch him before he drowned. Catch this word. Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him. Peter might have been close enough to failure, but he was definitely close enough to Jesus to be caught. Jesus didn't just save him, but he held on to him. He sustained him, even when his faith couldn't. Jesus would prefer our big faith, but he'll take our small faith too. Peter learned to trust Jesus better because he saw the futility in his faithlessness. Peter's recorded failures didn't stop there. He thinks Jesus' plan to get arrested and die is dumb, so he cuts off a guy's ear in his defense. That same night, after confidently saying he never would, same confidence he had to get out of that boat, he denies Jesus, even though Jesus promised their safety. And after Peter is told Jesus is alive, and he saw the empty tomb for himself, he still refused to believe it. When he thinks that his ministry is over, he goes back to fishing because he's got a family to feed. And most people think that Jesus is still dead. Jesus shows up and he proves to Peter yet again he's still fully capable of providing for him. And he reminds him, you aren't called to fish in the sea, but to fish for men. Tend my sheep, he tells him, and follow me. So when Jesus tells Peter and the rest to wait in Jerusalem for power, Peter's not disbelieving this time. He leads them all to wait. For 10 days, he waits with the believers, praying. They have no idea what they're waiting on. They've read about the Spirit in the scriptures, but this mystical endowment isn't something they fully understand. But they trusted Jesus. And once again, Jesus delivered. Peter was never the same. He speaks before crowds. He speaks before the Sanhedrin. He's beaten and still speaks. He's imprisoned and still speaks. He's telling lame people to get up and casting out demons like it's light work. He's just not out of the boat. He's skipping across them waves. And though Jesus was no longer physically present, he still had Peter in his sights for when he would fail again. Because with every step of faith Peter took, whether small or great, he was still moving closer to Jesus. God tells me often, daughter, you still don't trust me. And I'm like, I'm trying. I really am. But how in the world am I supposed to learn how to trust you? He says, obey me. Obedience is not just trusting God, but testing God. It's why when God says in Malachi, you want to keep your money to yourself? Why don't you test me by bringing 10% of what you have in my house and watch me prove to you that I can be trusted to care for you? Taking God for a test run over and over again is the only way to build our faith. There's something on your heart God wants you to do for him, and it seems hard or scary, or maybe you just don't want to do it. That's the thing too. I think we fail because we're trying to see the end from the beginning, and we can't. God just wants us to get out of the boat, because every time he saves you from sinking, your faith is going to get stronger every time. With each step, you'll see the faithfulness of God, the power of God, the patience of God. And eventually, it'll stop being about the thing you thought you wanted and about the person you're walking to. Your eyes are set on the one who called you out of the boat. Everything else is secondary. Then at that point, nothing will be impossible.